What exactly did HYB hide from the army all this time? Why did Taehyung, who has always been known for keeping the members' secrets, suddenly open up and offend Jungkook's family emotionally? And is it related to an old wound that has never been healed even by his own family? Surprising new clues found. Did HYB know about Jungkook's childhood tragedy and choose to remain silent? Why aren't all BTS members being told, even though they are already considered family? This is not just a confession. This was an emotional outburst that Taehyung could no longer hold back. Is everything we know about the BTS members' relationship so far just a surface? Is there something deeper, darker, and more painful that has been hidden behind their smiles and jokes? And if so, why did Taehyung choose this time to speak up? Why not a long time ago? Why not when Jungkook can still stare at everything without tears? One short tape, which the public should never have seen, has now gone viral. One sentence that Taehyung uttered in a whisper, recorded behind the scenes of BTS's photo shoot, left ARMY speechless. If only she could talk about what really happened that time with her brother. None of this is going to be like it is now. This sentence sounds quiet, almost like a murmur, but it's clearly aimed at someone outside the camera. Maybe the staff, or maybe another member sitting next to him. But one thing is certain. It's about Jungkook. And it's not an arbitrary sentence. Why did Taehyung mention that time? What happened between Jungkook and his brother in the past? And why did HYB choose to remain silent all this time? Even though they knew, yes, they knew, because the clues scattered in recent years turned out to be intertwined. Those questions sparked not only curiosity, but also anger and pain for the army, who felt they had only been given a safe and controlled version of the story. What right does HYB have to keep one's wounds? Especially when the wound concerns Jungkook, a figure so beloved by the world, but behind the scenes, harboring unfinished trauma. It all started with a documentary interview session conducted secretly by HYB's outside production team, who were working on the project for Netflix at the time. In one interview that ended up being cancelled and not aired, Taehyung was seen holding back tears when asked about Jungkook's childhood. "She's always cheerful on camera," Taehyung said softly. "But I know he had experienced something that even his own family could not help him heal." Is this related to the alleged quarrel between Jungkook and his older brother Jonghyun? The one quarrel that, according to rumors, kept Jungkook from returning to Busan for years, even on his father's birthday. More surprisingly, HYB apparently knew this from the beginning of BTS's debut. In an internal document allegedly leaked from one of the former staffers, it was stated that the issue of Jungkook's family must be closely guarded, so as not to disturb the image of the team. This sentence made many people ask, is HYB more concerned with image than the mental well-being of her members? Taehyung, who has always been known as one of Jungkook's closest friends, can no longer seem to hold back what has been weighing on his chest. In his last live session, when answering fans' questions about what family means to him, Taehyung was silent for a long time. His face looked tense, his lips quivering, and his eyes glazed over before finally saying, "That family, it's not just about blood. It's also about who chooses not to leave you, even when you can't talk about what hurts you." Is this a subtle allusion to HYB? Or to Jungkook's brother? A number of armies began to piece together pieces of Jungkook's old interactions that now felt different after all this was revealed. Like during the run of BTS episode 105, when the family theme came up and Jungkook suddenly switched the conversation by joking excessively. Or the moment during a concert in Busan, when Jungkook suddenly lowered his head in the middle of a song whose lyrics talk about forgiving the past. Even when he received a birthday present last year, he said, "Thank you for staying here, even when I can't say anything." Now, that statement feels much heavier. It feels like a phrase from someone who has harbored guilt, hurt, and loss for years. But the question is, why should Taehyung reveal this? Doesn't Jungkook know? Or does he know, but choose to remain silent for fear of hurting the person who once hurt him? HYB itself has not yet given an official statement on these new directions. But the pressure from fans is mounting. Hashtags like hashtag protect Jungkook, hashtag Taehyung tell the truth, and hashtag HYB explains started trending on X, Twitter, along with thousands of emotional comments from fans who felt betrayed by the company that was supposed to protect their members. I feel like all this time we loved someone who turned out to have so many wounds, and we were never even given the opportunity to know, let alone to heal, wrote an ARMY from Brazil. If HYB finds out and remains silent, it is not protection. That's treason. In an old video that recently went viral, Jungkook looks at Taehyung and says, "You know everything, right?" Then Taehyung replied slowly, "But I'm staying here." That moment used to be considered sweet. But now it feels like the clues are finally connected. What is really hidden from the public? Is it true that Jungkook's family problems are not just an ordinary brother-sister quarrel, but something deeper? Some fans speculated that Jungkook had experienced intense pressure from family members who disapproved of his decision to become an idol at a young age. And the conflict left a deep imprint to affect the way he looked at home. Taehyung, in his confession, said that he once saw Jungkook sitting alone in the studio for hours, silently, just staring at a blank screen. At that moment I knew, he doesn't need anyone to talk to. He just needs someone to sit next to him. Is this the reason why Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship is so close that they are called soulmates by fans? Maybe it's because Taehyung doesn't just know everything, but also accept everything. But the biggest question remains hanging in the air. If HYB did know about this trauma, why didn't they ever arrange psychological support for Jungkook? Why not tell the other members, who could be more willing to help as a family than anyone else? Is the group's popularity and image really more important than healing the past wounds of a kid named Jungkook? And if the answer is yes, then the world deserves to know. ARMY deserves to know. And Taehyung has opened a door that may never be closed again. But what really happened behind the camera that day? The day when Jungkook said goodbye to his family, and Taehyung just stood speechless, according to an unofficial source who is part of HYB's internal content production team. The moment was supposed to be captured in full for the last special project before the break. Suddenly, the camera went off. Not by mistake, but because of direct instructions to stop shooting and remove the emotional scene recorded. The source, who declined to be named, claimed to have seen almost 40 minutes of raw footage, which is now somehow stored somewhere. In the footage, there is one dialogue between Jungkook and Taehyung in the rehearsal studio. Jungkook said, "I just want a little time," before everything changed. Then, Taehyung looked down for a long time before replying, "If you leave without speaking, I don't know how much longer I'll have to wait." The sentence was never incorporated into any documentary. Why should it be hidden? Many do not know that before the moment of Jungkook's departure, Taehyung spent time alone in their old rehearsal room. The staff found headphones, an open sketchbook, and one small photograph with the inscription, "Back then, we never had to explain anything." Was it some kind of message? Or is it just nostalgia that he wants to quietly leave behind before everything changes? Questions were raised when the official Twitter account of one of the video editors suddenly uploaded and deleted strange tweets. If only the world knew the truth behind that goodbye. Within minutes, the tweet was gone, but the screenshots circulated quickly. Then, the account is deactivated a day later. Is that a coincidence? Or someone deliberately made him disappear? While the public is busy discussing theories about schedule pressure and burnout, there is a more emotional layer that has been overlooked so far, a rift in a relationship that once seemed perfect. Is it because of a personal conflict? Have Jungkook and Taehyung ever had a disagreement about something they couldn't share with anyone, including the ARMY? Too many oddities began to unfold. One of the editors who used to compile BTS memories said that for the first time, footage of Taehyung and Jungkook together was drastically reduced. Usually, their closeness becomes a highlight. But for that year's project, almost all of their personal interactions were cut. Even in the behind the scenes of the last concert, only general and safe moments were included. Why is the relationship that has been a symbol of BTS's strength and warmth actually marginalized like that? Why didn't HYB clarify? Is it because of the fear of igniting the emotions of fans? Or is it because they know that the truth will be too painful to accept? And then another fact emerged. Jungkook had sent a voice message to a personal fanbase that was known to be quite close to him. In the recording, which lasted only 8 seconds, he said in a voice that sounded heavy and full of pauses, "Sometimes, you just need to go, even if your heart wants to stay. I hope he understands." The message immediately became the subject of great debate. Who is he? Why does Jungkook feel? There is one moment that is now a new highlight, one that many people may have missed. In one of the old behind-the-scenes documentaries of their last concert before Jungkook went abroad, the camera briefly captured fragments of a brief conversation between Jungkook and Taehyung in a backstage hallway. Even when the audio is turned off, the movements of both lips can be read by a fan with lip-reading ability. And this is the sentence that makes the ARMY community tremble. "If you remain silent, I will also leave. I am silent not because I want to, but because I cannot." What is the meaning of the conversation? And why did HYB not remove the visual part, but simply turned off the sound? Is it a form of subtle censorship that is perceived as too inconspicuous? Or because they don't think anyone will be observant enough to read them? The incident was not the only oddity. One of BTS's stylists, who was previously quite active on social media, suddenly deleted all of his uploads related to Jungkook and Taehyung's fitting schedule. Interestingly, one of the fans was able to take a screenshot of the stylist's story upload, which wrote an ambiguous phrase, "Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones you protect the most from the spotlight. But you can't protect forever." Does this refer to the dynamic between Taehyung and Jungkook? And who exactly is protected? And from what? Some time ago, Taehyung attended a private event that was also attended by several CEOs from major Korean labels. But in one circulating portrait, she appears sitting in a corner of the room, alone, with a blank stare. Not as usual. Shortly thereafter, news broke that he had canceled an important photo shoot for no apparent reason. And in a short post on Weverse, he just wrote, "I need space. Not because I wanted to get away, but because I was looking for direction." What is he looking for? And is Jungkook included in that direction? No less surprising is the testimony of fans who were present at the airport when Jungkook left for overseas. An ARMY official with an anonymous account said he heard Jungkook's manager say, "Make sure no one asks questions about him." It is not clear who he meant. But seeing the look on Jungkook's face that looked clearly tired and his eyes that seemed to have run out of tears, speculation immediately sprang up. Is he Taehyung, and are Jungkook's tears not for leaving Korea, but for leaving behind something he hasn't had time to fix? Surprise after surprise appeared, as if time was peeling away one secret after another that had been tightly hidden. One of the old fan site, who is known to be very close to HYB staff, suddenly decided to retire. In his last post, he wrote, "I can't keep pretending. There are things I can't tell you, but I hope you can read between their silent lines." The tweet has now been deleted, but the screenshots are still scattered. And what about HYB's silence? As of today, there is not a single official statement regarding the relationship or emotional breakup between Jungkook and Taehyung. Even when fans sent thousands of letters and questions in the Weverse Q&A event, all the questions surrounding the two of them were never answered. Is this a form of avoidance? Is there a clear direction from within? Even more heartbreaking, rumors emerged that one of Jungkook's solo songs was never released because it was too personal and could trigger a wrong public interpretation. The song was tentatively titled "Shadow Between Us." But then, the file was locked in the system and never discussed again. The song was reportedly written after the moment Jungkook returned from his hometown. And one of the leaked lyrics spread among fans reads, "You are between my shadow and the light, but now I only see the wall." Is this a metaphor for their relationship? What walls suddenly appeared? And who put him there? On the other hand, some old recordings of BTS's comeback are now being re-examined by fans who feel there are veiled signals in the members, expressions, and interactions. In one of the videos, Jimin glances at Jungkook and then looks at Taehyung with an expression as if to say, "You have to talk." But none of them returned the gaze. As if words were no longer enough. The most heartbreaking is when in the anniversary event, MC read messages from each member to each other. Each member sends a message to the other member. But when it was Jungkook's turn, he missed Taehyung's name. Didn't mention it at all. In fact, they used to be two figures who always mention each other the first time. Did I ask this just an accident? Or was it intentional? It's little moments like these that now form the big picture of something we don't see on screen. That there is an emotional narrative that is being stored. That HYB doesn't want everyone to know. That Jungkook and Taehyung's breakup wasn't just a matter of distance, but also about wounds that cannot be healed by time.